Now, we all can't be Gianluigi Buffon, but we can certainly improve our everyday lives and get a little bit fitter. And one of the most popular ways of doing that right now is calisthenics. It's all about body weight exercises, and you know what? I'm pretty useless at it. But I thought what we need to do is we need to learn from the very best. And we're going to learn all about it today with Tim Stevenson from the School of Calisthenics. He's going to be joining us live in just a moment. But I want to show you one of the videos of what they offer and what they do. Take a look at this about the School of Calisthenics.
So this is the ultimate movement that we're trying to build up with our human flag framework, and let's have a look at the full shape. It's a great feat of strength and control, and it gives us a good opportunity to have a quick review of the coaching points and the real key areas that we're going to try and put together to achieve a human flag. So the first thing to remember, if we're going to use a bar like this, then Jacko is going to put his hand in and hold onto it so it's palm open up. This is going to be our pushing arm, where we're going to apply all the force down nice and strong to create that stable base to be able to lever through. An important thing here is to keep that shoulder through. If we allow the shoulder to drop out of position, the body loses that stability. So we've got to have that shoulder pushed through nice and open with the chest. The top hand comes over, overhand grip here. One important thing with a flag, if we're going to make it look super tidy, is not to bend the arm when we're trying to do this and we take all the load through the bicep. So we want this arm to be straightened out. The other thing with this top position is we want to try and create some force into the socket. So the moment, if Jacko just hangs in there, this shoulder's kind of loose in a dead position, he's going to really activate that and draw it in like an active hang position as if we're going to do a pull-up. That must now start to connect with these obliques on the outside to lift the hip up, and that's where we're going to start to create our tension. So when he's ready, we pull hard with the top hand, we push hard with the bottom, and we can start to get into the hang, and there's our human flag.
Well, I'm delighted to say now that joining me on Sportuccino is Tim Stevenson from the School of Calisthenics. Tim, we saw a little bit what you guys do there just in a video, but why don't you tell us a little bit more about the School of Calisthenics, please? Good morning.
Morning, Richard. Yeah, the School of Calisthenics started in January last year. It was very much born out of myself and David Jackson, my business partner. We were both ex-rugby players. Dave was a professional player for 14 years, and we wanted to try something different and get into change training from the standard sort of gym-based stuff that we've been doing for years. So we started playing around with some calisthenics, and then we found out that really there was a lack of really well-structured and progressive information available out there. It was people who possibly done gymnastics from quite a young age, going to the park, showing you, so this is how you do a human flag, but there was no structure around it. And both Dave and I are professional strength and conditioning coaches who work in elite Paralympic sport. So we started to put together a bit more of an exercise science approach and a bit more physiology and movement training around what we were trying to do. And then we thought the School of Calisthenics was born out of that, and just trying to, our strapline is redefine your impossible. So we want to try and help people to get into calisthenics, because it does look super difficult, but when you break it down and you understand the component parts of each one of the movements, it's actually not that difficult. And there's a massive thing that it does for your mindset when you get that first impossible, whether it be a flag or a handstand or a muscle up or whatever it is that people are working towards.
Yeah, and you mentioned structure there. Tell us a little bit about the framework that you developed.
Yeah, so it was very much around the idea of how we would train an athlete if we wanted to do something. And the Paralympic sport background has been a massive foundation in that, because we have to look at movement differently. We work with a lot of swimming and athletics. So we might have a guy who's a double leg amputee, a sprinter. We might have got a single arm amputee, a swimmer. So your normal kind of approach to training doesn't just fit into what you would get from a normal textbook. So we have to think quite differently. So with the framework was very much born around that idea of what are the component parts to these movements. If we're going to break it down, I've had 2 shoulder reconstructions. So for someone like me, how do I start to learn how to do a flag? So we took what we know from a sports performance perspective, and we said, let's create a framework which we could put any calisthenics movement into. But calisthenics comes from the 2 Greek words of kalos and sthenos, which means beauty and strength. So our framework is based around movement being a beautiful thing and the strength component. And then within that, each of those 2 sections has 2 subphases. So we have movement preparation, which is preparing the body for the session you're going to do. We have to understand that a lot of people today will have reasonably sedentary jobs. You might be sat in front of a computer or in a car, and they rock up at the gym and just being expected to have perfect postural control, the body being ready to go and to get into some of these quite extreme positions at times. we have to accept that we've got to do something to correct this dysfunction that we've placed on our systems throughout the day. And then we have a movement patterning phase, which is around skill acquisition. Learning to do a human flag is not that difficult in the sense of we just need to teach the body how to do it. It doesn't know how to do it. So the patterning is all about learning the new skill. And then we have a strength section. Applied strength is strength which is very specific to the movement we're trying to do. There'll be positions in calisthenics where we're just not strong in because your conventional gym training doesn't really force you or get you into those positions, so the body just doesn't get strong there. So we need to put specific movements in. And then capacity strength is just a global, let's just get strong. Pull-ups, push-ups, dips, the foundations of everything is just that real kind of like put some strength in the tank, and it all fits together into a beautiful synchronized approach to whether someone wants a muscle up or flag or handstand or whatever it might be.
Okay, so we've got all of that, but what I want to know really is, can anyone do it? Could I just start it tomorrow, and how long would it take me to make a human flag?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the great things about it. Bodyweight training, and as it's been now popularized terms as calisthenics, has been around for years. I mean, the barbell was only invented in the early 1900s. So people have been getting strong using their bodyweight for years. I mean, I like to think back that people like armors would have won wars on bodyweight strength, and gladiators would have survived, and all this sort of stuff, because we just didn't have traditional, what we would call now traditional strength training equipment. We didn't have machines and barbells. So it's literally anybody can jump into it. The great thing is it doesn't need a lot of equipment. A push-up is a calisthenics movement. A pull-up is. You can buy a set of gymnastics rings and you can hook them in something in your house, or you could take them to the park and you could get into some basic calisthenics movements. And they can get those for £15. It's a really accessible way to get into training. And in terms of how long it takes, it really depends on your starting point. We've got a video on our YouTube channel of we got a group of guys in the sort of normal gym kind of fitness enthusiasts. They weren't in incredibly good shape. They're okay. They trained a little bit. We had a golfer in there and all sorts of different people. And we took them on a human flag journey, and they've about all of them made massive improvements, but 3 or 4 of them got really good human flags in 7 weeks, just by following a progressive structure and understanding what the component parts of that movement are. So if you've got a little bit of basic strength, some of this stuff really isn't as difficult as it looks.
And you explain all of this in your ebooks. Tell us a little bit about them.
Yeah, so we've been developing the ebooks over the last year or so. We've got 3 now. We've got one which is a human flag ebook, one for the back lever, and then the latest one we just released was the handstand. And then we also have a free beginner's guide, which would be perfect for someone such as yourself wanting to get into it. A real intro to calisthenics. Doesn't cost anything. You can download it free from the website, and it just goes through loads of different exercises that are just going to start to form those foundations. And what we've made is I think it's very much different about how we do calisthenics and how we coach it, is that education side is really important. So all of those ebooks have come with a training program, with videos of myself and David just coaching you through the exercises, looking at the key points. They're short, to the point, concise, but give you the real kind of understanding of what it is that you're trying to do in each of those movements, and then how they all fit together into the bigger picture of the more global movement that you're trying to work towards.
Yeah, I got I downloaded the beginner's book on Sunday, in fact, read it, all of it, watched all the videos, excellent videos. We've shown a few clips of those videos on Sportuccino today. Where would I go next? So I'd do the beginner's book, and then should I then go for the handstand one? Should I go for the flag one? Or is there a natural progression, or could I just do any of them?
Yeah, there isn't really. It's very much on what people want to learn to do. I think one of the things that we love about calisthenics is that there's a tangible end goal. So you might say, like, I really want to learn how to do a handstand. And that's a journey that you're going to go on. And it does take time, and there's bumps in the road, as with learning any new skill, whether that was learning to play an instrument or anything. There's time, and that journey is of real value. But the great point is that there's a final destination. There'll be a point where you can do a handstand and you can tick that off. And then we like to say that you've then redefined your impossible, because when you first start, it's going to feel like you're miles away from a handstand. You might think you might never be able to do one. Whereas if we look at other fitness training, if you want to go and like get bigger, there's this whole thing around male dysmorphia, which is a real kind of topic for me, that guys are just trying to get bigger. And it's like, when you get a bit bigger, you'll look at yourself and you'll never be big enough. So with calisthenics, you actually have an endpoint. No one can deny that when you do a handstand, you've done a handstand, and that's a massive thing to tick off, and you can move on to your next goal. but it's addictive because the rate of progression is so fast. So it might be that you start off working towards a handstand, and then all of a sudden you want to get into a human flag, and it really doesn't matter where you want to start. It's just jumping in and getting into it. The back lever is the one that Jacko and I learned first. That's David, so I refer to him as Jacko, but that's the one that we first learned, and it's quite an accessible, easy starting point if you want to get into one of the more glamorous movements.
I saw that. That looks scary. The handstand I can cope with. I think the human flag I think I'd try, but that one I think it's the one which you put your arms behind you, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You're basically suspended parallel to the floor, but it's that we look at it, and again, this is what I go back to about the body's designed beautifully to move. So the shoulder's a 360-degree joint, like it's got the most mobility in the body. There's no reason why it can't get into that position. We just need to have the mobility, and again, because we spend too much time slouched over computers and whatever and driving, that we're starting to destroy the posture and the shoulder mechanics. So if we put a little bit of restorative work in, we can actually start to get back into good positions, and there's no reason why the arm can't operate in that position. And it's a lot easier than we could teach you to get pretty close to that in 5 minutes. It's not as hard as it looks.
Oh, fantastic. All right, Tim, let's learn a little bit about you very quickly. Let's play 5 favorite things. It's a quick fire round. I'm going to throw questions at you. You give me the first answer which comes in your head, and at the end of it, I'll ask you a little bit more details about one of your answers. Ready?
Ready.
Steady. Let's go. So, favorite book?
I'm actually currently reading a book called Originals, which is a really exciting, it's a really interesting concept on what makes people different and free thinkers, which I'm really enjoying. And then I'm also going to plug my handstand book as well. That's the latest one that we put out, and it's probably our most complete work to date. So if you want to get into calisthenics, that's a great starting point.
Love the plug. Enjoy that. Favorite song?
I'm listening to Rag and Bone Man a lot at the moment. That guy is going off. His latest album is just brilliant. So there's lots of that coming out of my stereo at the moment.
Favorite city?
Cape Town. My wife's South African. Love Cape Town.
Fantastic. We were there for Sportuccino only 2 weeks ago, and nearly everyone on that show said Cape Town. Fantastic city.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Favorite film?
Tough one. I'm going to go Usual Suspects because it was the first one that I ever saw that had a twist, and I'll never forget it. But it's maybe a bit cliche, but I do love it. And The Grinch at Christmas. I love The Grinch.
And favorite food?
Guilty pleasures, like a really good fish and chips, but it's not really probably what I'm supposed to say as a sort of person in the fitness and health space. But everything in moderation, right? We need to have balance in our lives, so I'm going to go fish and chips.
Yeah, well, let's bring that up at the end there. When you say everything in moderation, now for someone like you, is that something like a cheat day where you can just splurge the whole day, or is that, you know what, every day I can have a little something?
I think it really depends. I'm not really massively into the cheat day because I just think it's sort of like you're living for those days where you can just eat what you want. And I think Dave and I are both on the same page with this, that just eat a normal, sensible, balanced diet and train hard. And you've got that sort of 80-20 split. If 80% of the stuff that I'm eating is on point and there's 20%, I mean, I might not do that every day, but but there's definitely scope within it. And just, I think the big thing is understand if you're going to go and have a splurge, just understand what the effect is on your body and what you might need to do the following week. You might need to be a bit more controlled and strict. But I think there's so much stuff like life's for enjoying. Like we're definitely not around that whole idea of weighing out food and packing up 20 boxes of Tupperware before we leave the house. It's just that, and calisthenics is natural training. It goes in that whole thing. Eat well, train well, just have a healthy, balanced lifestyle. Your training will take like people look at gymnasts and they've got great physiques. Well, calisthenics will give you the same thing, and the body weight element of that means that you're more inclined to sort your nutrition out as well. So it's more like a holistic lifestyle than anything which is too rigid.
Well, fantastic. It's been really good to hear from you this morning, Tim. Just before you go, let us know where we can find more about the School of Calisthenics online and any of your social media platforms, please.
Yeah, we're super active on Instagram, particularly, and Facebook. So if you check those out, just search School of Calisthenics. We've also got a website, which is schoolofcalisthenics.com. And yeah, just check those things out. We put out so much free information. There's loads of great content out there. So if you want to sort of explore and have a look at it, it's there for you, and our YouTube channel as well. Just all of those channels. If you search School of Calisthenics, you'll find us.
Wonderful stuff, Tim. Thank you so much for your time today, and thank you for being on Sportuccino.